This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Dr. E. She holds a PhD in functional medicine that she uses along with her nurse practitioner's license. She's also an author, a podcast host, and a mother of three. She owns a PCP and a medical and educational businesses. She has also created the new method to empower patients to realize their symptoms were not in their heads. As a result, she helps people optimize their health, prevent illness, reduce medication, and feel great. Dr. E, thank you for being my guest here today.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortese. If freezing, chubbers in it, it's Cortese.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortese, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
Well, this is really good because you got quite a story. You started out in Israel as a little one. You wind up in New York, Staten Island. You have a wife, Gina Lamondre, three children, Shawnee, Ariel, and help me pronounce the last one.
Eitan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
You're a PhD in functional medicine from Quantum University, University of Hawaii, and nurse practitioner degree from Rutgers. And you have a long list of board of trustees, presidents, and associations with all of the work and the studying that you've done. You put a lot of work in on your background with your education. We'll mention your book. It's not in your head. Your body doesn't feel right, but you don't know why. And then we'll talk about some of the other things that you're currently working on. But today, let's get started with how you started creating awareness in the industry from where you started.
Okay. So, great, awesome question. You know, it's funny because it feels accidental, but then retroactively, it's obviously kind of divine intervention. So, or universal intervention, however you want to, name it. But I started my primary care practice. And in primary care, really the conversation is find disease and treat it, right? Find disease and treat it. You go to your primary care, you have blood work done. And if there's a disease, you treat it. And if there's nothing, if the labs are fine, if everything is fine, you just kind of, I'll see you later. You're good. I'll see you next year. And there really is no room for having conversation of like, I may not be sick, doc, but I'm not feeling well. There's no room for unwellness. And this is not the doctor's fault. These are great people. They went to school. Everybody wants to help people. But the toolbox that we have, and P school, med school, is where's the disease? Let's treat it. There's no conversation of varying degrees of unwellness. And so that's how I practiced. I did everything by the book. I did the screenings, I did the prevention, I did the annuals. I tried to make sure people had access to care, made sure things were affordable. And that was kind of like just trucking along, doing the right thing. But on a personal journey, my wife got sick. She had an autoimmune issue. She had two autoimmunes. I'm just going to share them in case any of your listeners are suffering from them. One is called PMLE, which basically means she was allergic to the sun. And the other is, yeah, it's crazy. The other one is psoriasis, but it was really intense psoriasis. Like she couldn't walk, her feet would bleed. It was really intense. And conventional medicine, that's when we realized its limitations, because it really just offered us medication. But there was no conversation of why. Why was this happening? There really is not a lot of why when it comes to diseases, except for maybe the obvious one, like diabetes, you eat too much sugar. But a lot of diseases, we don't really talk about why. It's like, how do we treat it? How do we treat it? So this was a while ago, pre what the internet looks like now. And so someone said to us, hey, you should see this guy. He does functional medicine. And we're like, well, it's not going to work because it's quackery. We had never heard of it. And, we went because we had nothing to lose. He did these crazy labs on us. And he told us that our nutrition is off. Now, you have to understand that we did not think our nutrition is off. We were athletic. Not that this is a body conversation, but just to paint the picture, we were thin women. We thought we ate everything right. And the conversation that autoimmunity might be secondary to nutrition was foreign. And so he changed our diet. And again, we were like, okay, let's just try it, get nothing to lose. And everything went away. The psoriasis reversed. The PMLE went into hiding. And literally we went from walking in the dark to walking in the sun. And so I was like, what is this? So I started going, taking a course and another course and another course. And before you know it, I was in the vortex. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I want to ask something while you're talking. The thought crossed my mind is when you were telling them what the symptoms were. They didn't really have a root cause? Like, did they go for like what's causing this? I mean, because bleeding, how do you?
No, we knew it was psoriasis.
Where you can't go in the sun? That just seems really.
No, we had names for the diseases. We know what the diseases were: is PMLE, polymorphic light eruption.
But
and
how
psoriasis.
Does that occur in a person?
Well, if you ask anyone till today, unless you're in functional medicine, if you ask people where autoimmunity comes from, the answer is shrug.
Wow.
The answer is genetics.
You can see why you go into learning more. You go into a mode where there's information on this out there somewhere. I just don't have it in front of me at this point.
Well, now we know, and now I know the answer. But back then we didn't know the answer. And if you ask pretty much, most people in conventional medicine, if you ask them where autoimmunity comes from, they will tell you, we don't know. It's genetic. We're not really sure. But it doesn't really matter in conventional medicine because we're not doing a root cause analysis. We're doing a treatment. What treatment works for you? That's the conversation in conventional medicine. What treatment can we use? Right? Let's make it a little easier. If someone's diabetic, you kind of, it's because they're eating too much sugar, right? Let's simplify it. So, but the conversation in conventional medicine isn't, hey, let's talk about your nutrition. It's what medications can I give you to get your sugar down? Right now, those medications are not curing you. Those medications are bringing your sugar down. The cure, of course, would be nutritional, and this is not necessarily just on the provider. There's also, there's also a patient conversation. Are they willing to do the work? But the medication, there's no root cause analysis. It's okay. This is an abnormality. Let's fix the abnormality, and that's true with autoimmune. Like you have psoriasis. What cream do we need to give you? Maybe we need to give you an injectable. What do we need to do to make the rash go away? But not why do we have this rash, right? So there was a whole new world that opened up to me. And as I did more and more studies, you realize that anyone who goes back to school for functional or integrative has either been sick themselves or has someone that they love who is sick. Because we're all medical professionals. There's doctors, DOs, PAs, NPs. We've all went to school. And now we're crazy enough when we go back to school. We go back to school because we've confronted personally on some level the limitations of conventional medicine. This is not an anti-conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is wonderful. If I'm sick, I want conventional medicine modalities for sure, but it has its limitations and it's not explored.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
Okay, that leads me to my question with your position on big pharma.
I'm not sure where you got the position on my big pharma. What I said in one of my podcasts was, I am not anti-pharmaceutical. I'm not anti-medication.
Mm-hmm.
If I have pneumonia, I'm not trying to sage it away. Okay. Many of us would not be alive if it wasn't for pharmaceuticals. If we didn't have insulin, right? Surgery, we would not be alive. Mm-hmm. You need surgeries, you need chemo, you need anti-seizure medication. I mean, the list is endless. And so I'm thankful for conventional medicine. And I never want to, because sometimes when I speak, I want to make sure that I don't give off this feeling that I'm anti. There is a huge place for conventional medicine and pharmacy. I still practice it. I still prescribe. And I would not want to be in a world where I don't have access to medications, life-saving medication, antibacterial medication. Like I said, the list goes on. But what's missing is the conversation of what else besides. So let me give you an example again, but let's go back to diabetes, right? So we have a whole algorithm of what medication to give based on your sugar levels, your A1C levels. Do we give this? Do we give that? But the very first piece of it is lifestyle modification.
Mm-hmm.
But in Western medicine, we don't have time to discuss lifestyle modification. You come in, we see your A1C, we give you the medication. I have to see you in 10 minutes. You're out the door. There's no time to sit down with a patient and say, what's going on? Can you get to the supermarket? What's in your way, right? So diabetes is kind of an easy one because we could wrap our head around it. But that's true of like so many diseases. There's lifestyle modifications that can happen that can either cure, prevent, or augment current treatment modalities, which will take your health to the next level. But we don't have room for that. So of course, I'm a fan of pharmaceuticals because they're life-saving. It's just a piece, though. It's just a piece of the puzzle. You need the other piece as well. You need to talk about, did you move? Did you sleep? What are you eating? What's the stress in your life? And that is the piece that we don't really have time for in our current system.
That was big in my healing myself, what you just said there. The opportunity to know that I did need the medicine, I did need the help, but I did my part on the other side. And it was like the lifestyle which I carried going into the disease wasn't the one that helped heal me and get me out of it.
Yes.
So much changed, the atmosphere, the diet, my mindset, everything for me. It was like I knew I had to change or I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now.
100%.
So then that was good because I didn't think that you were unclear on your big pharma on your podcast. No, and what I wanted is because I agree with you. I think what happens is like when I did my scans, for the life of me, I couldn't understand doing like a head scan, why this is like a torture chamber. It's like, did you put my head under the wheel of a train and start running the train? It's like, why? It just felt so Frankensteinish to me. And I'm like, it's 2021, it's like,
so loud.
Like, why? It's like, there's got to be a different way they can do this. This is just so invasive and it was just crazy to me. So I was like, there's the technologies, I'm sure is going to change that sooner than later, because the AI and how it's just picking up speed and all these different kinds of scans and things. I'm sure that the knowledge of the computer accumulating will come up with something here in the near future. I'm sure of it. It just seemed crazy to me.
Yeah.
It just did. Okay, so now you're in your current line of work. You've got a number of different businesses now. Was it the experience then with Gino that led you into this, or is this has been taken one step after another? So where you currently stand, because you're running 3 different businesses, a podcast, and still have time to do social media. What's going on?
Actually, 4 businesses.
Okay, there you go.
So the primary care practice was first. And the focus there was really making sure as many people as possible can have access. And that was kind of the focus. Then because of Gina's experience, ultimately the new method was born. So initially it changed my practice here and there, but that eventually I realized that I need to make it more methodical, using the tools of conventional medicine or the tools in general of science of being able to track things and graph things and make sure that our interventions are working. It's not like a haphazard, like, hey, just eat an apple, So I created a method that's trackable. So yes, Gina's experience opened the door for me, but then, I kind of took it and ran with it, went back to school, got the PhD, wrote the book, etc. And so now the new method is its own entity and it's national at this point because it is coaching as opposed to practicing medicine. I can cross state lines. I don't have to prescribe to you. I'm not ordering labs. Hopefully you have a PCP. I could always get on the phone with your PCP so they can manage that part of it. But the rest that we just talked about needs to still be managed. And that's what we do at the new method. And what the type of patient that comes to the new method, well, there's 2 kinds. One that just feels so unwell and has gone from doctor to doctor being told that they're fine. Right? Or a variation of it's in your head. And those variations sound like, well, what do you expect? You're stressed. What do you expect? You're a new mom. What do you expect? You're postmenopausal. What do you expect? You're overweight. These are all variations of these symptoms are in your head. And none of those are acceptable answers. And so patient number one that comes to me has been through a bunch of providers and has been told some variation of it's in your head. And patient number two already has some issues going on, an autoimmune issue, other issues, and would like to hear more options about how to manage their disease. Now, the difference between patient one who's not feeling well and patient two who's already sick is just a matter of time. If you leave someone who's not well and you don't address those symptoms because you keep telling them they're fine, if you leave it alone, they will develop a disease. These symptoms means that you're in a pre-disease state. Our testing just can't find it. That's all it means. So taking these symptoms seriously, and what we do is quantify them using software and track them, is critical, not only to make the patient feel better, but to prevent the disease that they're on their way to. So that's what the new method is all about. And then for those who are sick and they're on meds, and maybe they need to stay on meds depending on their disease process, or maybe we could titrate down. But in addition to the medication, if we're not going to implement certain lifestyle changes, things are going to get worse. So that's
then
the
I want to ask you, so then it's all symptomatic. So like when a patient comes into you and you make a diagnosis, because you mentioned it to me before we started recording, I was saying my age and then I was anemic, and you were like right away, that's an oncologist situation. So like you knew immediately. So is this through your experience and doing your studying that when a patient comes to you, because I mean, it's probably no two patients have the same situation, even if they have the same disease kind of thing, because we're all sort of fingerprinted when it comes to our health.
Okay, so
how do you do a diagnosis?
Okay, so you asked actually two different questions. The first question that you asked me about your anemia, that's very much a conventional medicine conversation. That's a lab marker. Your labs were off. There's an algorithm for that. 51-year-old male who's anemic, that does not require any type of special skill. Like that's basic conventional medicine. That's a huge red flag, right? It's different than him. This is different than like a menstruating woman that you're thinking, okay, maybe she has blood loss or maybe iron loss. Like, so a 51-year-old male that's anemic is just classically, algorithmically a red flag. What's up? And you're either thinking GI or you're thinking oncology. And this is low level medicine, just letting you know. It's not high level. I appreciate you think I'm gifted, but on that respect, it's very basic. So that's conventional medicine. It's algorithmic. It actually doesn't, like, once you know the algorithm, that's it. What I'm talking about in the new method are people who don't really fit the algorithm. So the person who comes in who's 50 and they're like, my joints hurt all the time. I'm tired all the time. I've already been to my primary care and all my labs are fine. Remember that. All my labs are fine. So I don't fit the algorithm. They're telling me I'm not sick. They're not anemic. They have nothing going on with them, but they're not well. They're like, 5 years ago, I felt so great. And the doctor tells them, well, what do you expect? You're 50. That's not an answer. What do you expect? You're 20 pounds overweight. That's not an answer. So now if that patient 5 years from now develops a lab marker, maybe they develop an autoimmune marker or something, that PCP will say, oh, of course you have lupus, no problem. But what happens in those 5 years in between when he's feeling like poop, but it doesn't show that he has lupus yet? Those 5 years means that he's cooking the disease. So in conventional medicine, we have to ignore it because we can't find anything wrong with him. We'll do the MRI, we'll do the labs. There's nothing wrong with this patient, and we have to send him on his way. In the new method and in functional medicine, it's like, well, why do you have inflammation in your joints? Why are you in so much pain? Oh, turns out you have GERD, IBS, your stomach's a mess. Guess what? That inflammation is not staying in your belly. It's actually going to go to your joints. Oh, you had a lifetime of GERD? Well, guess what? It's a lifetime of inflammation, right? So we start tying things in and we say, well, you know what? While your joints are the one that's hurting, it's actually your belly. And unless I calm down your belly, not only are your joints going to hurt, but in 5 years, you are going to have a rheumatological disease, right? So this is what I mean when I say, the patient, it's just a matter of time. There's a whole time when you're pre-disease where you're going to be symptomatic and you can't find a diagnosis because you're not sick enough for your lab markers to show up. That is a place where conventional medicine cannot help you. It cannot help you. It does not deal with symptoms unless there's something to prove which direction, to which illness are we dealing with. This is a state of unwellness. And so my perspective is that this state of unwellness is more than just you feeling unwell. It's pre-disease. It's coming your way. And I like to intervene at that point.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
I think it's great what you're doing. You're filling in the gaps. It's got to be difficult at times for you, though, depending on how clearly the patient can explain what it is their problem or what it is they're feeling. So it's like, if it's basic, it's probably easier for them. But like, because I know when I got sick with the cancer, mine wasn't always consistent. It was like I'd have long stretches of where I felt normal, so I didn't think much was wrong with me. And then I would experience that fatigue, and then those symptoms would come back. And I don't know that I could have explained what fatigue really was, other than it was just something I knew I didn't feel before. So like when you have a patient come in and you know they're whipping up a batch of something, you know, what angles do you take to try to get the information out, so you got a clearer picture of what's going on?
That's a really good question. And one of the things that we're lacking in conventional medicine is time with the patient. In the new method, because it's a different company, it's a different entity, it's not going through conventional medicine, it's not going through insurance, I have different constraints. It takes me an hour with my patient the first time I meet them. When was the last time you spent an hour with a medical provider? It does not exist. It cannot exist in conventional medicine. You cannot survive. So in that hour, and it's so funny because the patient comes in and they're like, they talk so fast because they just want to tell me everything. And I was like, whoa, slow down. This is not 5 minutes. We have an hour. And they tell me the story and they're like, yeah, ever since 2 years ago. And they tell me, and I'm like, great. What happened when you were 5? What happened when you were 10? What happened when you were 20? Because guess what? It's all connected. You're the same organism since you're born. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I've had stomach problems since I'm 5. Oh, well, that's relevant, don't you think? We all know at this point in 2023 that if somebody had trauma in their lives as a child, when they're 50, that's going to affect them psychologically and in their relationship. For some reason, though, if you had physical ailments as a child, concussion, recurrent ear infections, for some reason, it's totally unconnected to your physical situation at 50. And of course it's connected. We're so used to going into that conventional medicine office and just saying, hey, I have 5 minutes. Let me tell you what's hurting me. Okay, what's hurting you today? Okay, it's just today? It's just since yesterday? Well, you know what? 20 years ago when I fell off the ladder. No. I don't care about that, right? It's different. So to get to what's going on, I have to ask the questions. And in those questions, in that hour, I'll also ask, what specialists did you already see? If somebody comes to me and has never seen a doctor, never had lab work, never had imaging, I'm not touching that, because you need to rule out the pathologies first. Make sure you're not walking around with a hemoglobin of 2 like you did. Imagine you came to me like, oh, you're tired. Let's work on your adrenals. Meanwhile, you have a hemoglobin of 2, right? So making sure, yes, I've had the colonoscopy, I've had the endoscopy, I've already went to the rheumatologist. All right, okay, great. That's part of the story too, because all these really smart people are telling you nothing's wrong with you. That's awesome. That means you're in the right place right here with me. So you have to spend time to hear the whole story. It's really the only way, unless, again, in conventional medicine, this is why the algorithm exists, because it's fast. Use the algorithm. You fit the algorithm, here's the diagnosis. You don't fit the algorithm, wrong place.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, now this is great because you're seeing an opportunity and you're seizing it by filling in with your method. And so share with me real quick what's in your book. And
that's my book.
The book is probably fills in some of the gaps as to what you're doing here in your businesses. So
the book is designed to be super accessible. So the price is like $19 and you get it free on Kindle. And the reason it's designed to be super accessible, it's not a big money maker for us, is because there is so much information out there, and it's the big question is, where do I start? And if you're able to have the resources to work with someone like me, that's great. I could guide you, but a lot of people don't have the resources. So where do I start? What test should I do first? Should I do a hormone test? Should I do a mold test? Should I do a Lyme test? What do I do first? So I try to create the roadmap of what I do for my patients. So in the book, I tell a little story about myself and my wife. And then I say, you have to start with nutrition. You got to start with nutrition, because 9 times out of 10, that's where it's at. So before you start spending your money on all these crazy tests, start there. And then you gauge your symptoms. How are your symptoms? You better? Are you 100% better? Stop there. Don't even check. Who cares if you have mold? Like, who cares? You're feeling great. Done. End of story, right? Again, assuming you went to primary care and you did all those things. But let's just say you do your nutrition and you're still not well. Well, which symptoms are left? Let's give a clear example for the audience. Like, let's just say everything's better. My joint pain is better. I'm a 55-year-old woman, but maybe I still have hot flashes. Okay, that's probably hormonal, but I wouldn't start with hormones. But after I clear the nutrition, if the only symptom left for me is hormones, well, now I should probably get hormone testing. Or, let's just say I'm 45-year-old and I did everything, but my the joint pains are really not getting better. My stomach's better. My brain fog's better. My joints. So maybe you should explore a Lyme test. Right. So depending on which symptoms are left after you did the basic kind of elimination of the standard American diet and reduce your inflammation, depending on what symptoms then show up, will kind of let you know which test to do next. I wanted to empower people that they don't necessarily have to do all these tests to start feeling better. The tests are really for the harder cases. At that point, you're probably going to need someone like me if you really can't get by. But a lot of people don't need that. And so I wanted to create a space for people to have some sort of roadmap.
You're given a really, like, your service is just, it's so comforting. Like, because I think when people know, they instinctively know when they're not well. And then that whole idea of being able to have somebody to talk to in the crucial windows of our life, whether we're little and we need the right words from our parent or a sibling or a teacher, or we're older and somebody's misdiagnosed us, who we trust. So then that idea of being able to really begin their healing in their head first, because you lay the groundwork for peace of mind. And if you have inner peace, you have the strength to heal. Your body can do miraculous things if your mind's not beating it up.
I really appreciate they said that, because, when people, the way to reach me, right, is you do a consult with me. And then at the end of the consult, one of my team members will come on and tell you what it looks like if you want to work with me for the year. Because I work with my patients for at least a year, because things take time. This is not like a max challenge. Things take time. But I tell my patients all the time, this consult in and of itself needs to give you something, whether or not you choose to work with me, right? It needs to give you something. And what I really strive to give them is exactly what you just said. This peace of mind, first of all, I hear you. You're not crazy. Everything you feel is real. And then the other thing is to connect the dots in ways that they didn't connect before. Because a lot of times they'll be like, well, ever since this, I'm like, is it really from there? Why don't we go back further? Maybe it's this. Let's connect these dots that weren't connected before. And by doing that, you could start on your own, start figuring out where to start, right? Like back to the joint pain thing. Like if you think it's your joints, and I'm telling you, no, it's your GERD. Fix your GERD, watch your joints get better. It starts giving you a roadmap. And I want people to, at the end of the consult, feel some level of empowerment that they can own this issue, whatever their issue is. They can own it. I just had a consult with someone who was in such denial over her diagnosis. She didn't even want to name it. And I said, listen, right now you're in a corner as a victim, kind of waiting for, you don't even know when your next flare up is going to be. You don't know when the next like abusive outburst is going to be. What would it feel like for you if we named it, learned the triggers, and owned the disease, and just be like, what? I'm in charge of you now. You're not in charge of me now. And that is what I left it with. I don't even know if she's going to sign up or not. But watching her facial expression, knowing that she can own the disease instead of being scared of it, Because if you learn your triggers and you can control your flare-ups and you can, plan your life around it, as opposed to like not knowing where it's coming from, that is the thing. So
That
I'm
is
so
the
glad
thing.
you said that. That is the
What
thing.
you said right there was exactly what took place for myself with my healing, because the product that I got was out of a clinical trial. So I was technically the trial extended, being the first people in the public to use this medicine. And what had happened for me was, coming from Los Angeles at Ronald Reagan, they had done the very thing that you did. They had built in my mind that I actually had the power to take this from where they gave me, that I could move forward. So I had a different mindset when I came back from Los Angeles to Pittsburgh, that I was going to heal. Like the worst part of this was over. And in reality, it really wasn't. But because I was thinking
Yes.
that way, I really believe that helped in aiding my healing.
If you have a story to share, tell us, how are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortese. Be our guest.
So what I want to do is you're doing this is awesome. I could talk to you all day about what your work and what you're doing. So let me do a little future forecast. Where do you see your work and what you're currently doing in, say, 3 years from now?
I just want to be more national. Like, I just want to be able to reach more people, whether they're just using the free resources that I put on all my platforms. I create so much content, and it takes me hours to create it. So they can use that, YouTube, podcast, TikToks. You can use that. Or for those people who choose to work with me and my team, I just want to reach more people, because I'm always amazed at how much people just don't have access to this information. Like, it breaks my heart.
Well, and I think too, when you said they'll come to you and they're a bit locked up because the information, or if they did see that conventional doctor as you recommend, they're coming in with the wrong frame of mind. And most likely the fear and the anxiety and all of those wonderful bad emotions are still packed in them. That's got to be released.
Yes, there's so much negativity around. Yes, absolutely. And then when you work with me, I also have like a whole, like once a week, any of my clients can come on, my game changers, they come on a Zoom for an hour and a half. I call it like Tuesdays with E. And so everyone around the country who wants to come on that works with me just comes on, and then becomes a community of other like-minded people who are suffering. And for some people, that is also healing. Like knowing that there's others like them.
Oh yeah.
Because they're home and everyone in their life is healthy, and they're the person on the couch that can't get up, and everyone thinks they're lazy, and they're talking to people in like Texas and Illinois, and they're like, yes, I feel the same way. I'm really trying to get up and wash the dishes, but I'm so exhausted, right? There's so much healing that's happening, that it's just an amazing.
It is an amazing thing. So I would like to know then, this is why we have you on, how would you like to leave your mark?
I am leaving my mark, currently trying to leave my mark, by really empowering people to really know that their symptoms are not in their head, and to take control of your health destiny as much as possible.
I love it. I love it. We're way more powerful than we know, and you're helping us get off the schneid and get going. It's a momentum thing, it. Once you start healing, you start feeling better.
Yes,
you don't want to go you don't want to feel the other way ever again. So I want to help you promote getting found and being recognized for your work and the wonderful things you're doing. So share with me the links and websites and the book. You said Amazon.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. So basically, it's The New Method. New is spelled with a K, because you always knew there was a better way. So it's The New Method on every platform except for Twitter, because I talk too much. So you name it, wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I'm there. My team is always answering messages. So go ahead and, send us a message. Just watch the videos and they can help you as well. That's the way to find us, or on the website, thenewmethod.com. The book is called It's Not in Your Head. It's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's free on Kindle, so you don't have to spend money if you don't want to. And
then I want you to give me the names of your businesses real quick, please.
Oh, the other businesses? Okay, so The New Method is where it's at right now. EG Healthcare is the primary care practice, but that's really local for Staten Island, unless you feel like traveling. And then I own Hawk Scribes, which is a medical scribe company if you ever need a scribe. And then EG Prep is an education company for nurse practitioners to take their healthcare to the next level. But I have a feeling that for most of your listeners, New Method is where they want to be.
Okay. And then the podcast name?
Also, it's The New Method by Dr. E.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. E, thank you for being my guest here today. Just a plethora of information. I loved it.
It was an honor. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.